Hi, welcome to my new video where I would like to introduce you to the new Resource Manager, which now supports our voice products. And as everybody knows, I'm using my step-by-step method, which is usually very easy for everybody to adopt and replicate in their own environment. So with the new central management, in the past we had only the possibility to manage voice endpoints, but now with our new release we're able to manage not only the group series, the HDXs, but also now the voice endpoints. And that means not only our VVXs but also the Real Presence Trio and the Visual Plus. To use it as a content and a video device. Further out you see here the CX5100, 5500, so that means you got a really one central tool to manage it. And of course all the accessoires like EY Director tool, which comes with the group series, or the RP Touch. These devices can also be centrally updated, but that was already there. So in this short video, I think it's maybe 20-25 minutes video, I'm gonna walk you through. So when you request the trial license from a partner or from distribution, you're able to use those licenses as a trial. So for the trial, it's easiest to just manage the devices using a software-based version of Resource Manager, or you use the appliance-based version. So in that case, you can hook up all the devices underneath there, and these devices are then managed. Look at the software and the hardware in there. So when you get the software version, you get also access to a Polycom software version, which is the Flexera license portal. So you receive an email and you get access to a Flexera license portal where you log in. So let me show you, because I'm very practical, so I wanted to show you and walk you through how easy that is. So when you go into the Flexera license portal, that's right here, Flexera operations, you get your username and password, you log in here, and first you need to get the software. So you go here into your software, and this is the portal. So here you can activate your trial licenses, but also you can download the software. So for example, if you go here to the software versions, you see here down below the software version, for example, for the VMware and for example for Hyper-V. There's also, if you use an appliance or you use an upgrade file from a previous version, all those versions are here available to download. So I already downloaded this software because I think it's 1 or 2 gig big, so I already downloaded the software. After you download the software, you go into your management center, your vSphere management center. So that's right here in my case. Here you see my vSphere client, and this is where you import your client. So here you can import the, well, as we call it, an OVA appliance, a software appliance, to work with it. But as I said, if you have Hyper-V, you can just import it, and if you have an appliance, you can just use the upgrade file. So what do you do here? You go to File, you go to Deploy OVF, so right in the top, and here you select the file you just downloaded. So in this case, this is the latest one, the 10.1 version, and you click on Next. And in this file, and I think that's the nice thing, all the settings are already there. So I probably need to adjust maybe some settings here for memory or disk size, because in my case I'm just using a small lab environment, so I will make sure that I make some adjustments here. But if you go to full production, it's recommended to use the settings which are recommended here by the appliance. We click on next. You mention here the naming, so let me put in here the version 10.1. You click on next. Here you click on next in the server you want to deploy. Next, the disk format, so you could say thin provisioning, so that means the disk will grow as I'm using the appliance a bit longer for test and lab, that's okay. Here's a quick summary of all the settings, and we say finish. And as I quickly walk through it, I don't start the appliance yet in my case. I'm just deploying it now, but I don't start it because, as I said, I will adjust my memory and my disk size a little bit, and the CPU cores that I have, because these are a little bit smaller in my case for my lab. So after the appliance is imported into the vSphere client, what you need to do is you can go here into the client, you go to edit settings, and here you are able to adjust your memory and your virtual CPUs. So to make sure that your virtual appliance is able to boot up. This is something you do, and then you boot it up. So you right click and you start it. After that, it will boot up. By default, it will get a request from the DHCP server, request an IP address. As you will see, mine got this in my lab. Now, if you want to change that, or you don't have a DHCP server in your environment, you can also go here into the console, as they call it, and click here. And here you can log in with Polycom. Polycom, very easy. And here you see configure your network, configure your host name. So here you're under the hood, able to force some settings into the virtual appliance if you want. In any case, I have DHCP server, so mine got this IP address. And what I will do now is I will go into the web browser now to go to the IP address. So let me go here, and here you see the IP address which I just received. So you type in that and you say load. You might get a self-signed certificate message, so you add it as a secure and signed one into your browser, and then you're able to log in. So it will automatically add the 8443 as a port. So be aware for any firewalls in between, so you can access the resource manager on that specific port. So from here you go in here and you get the default username and password to type. So you go here, you say username default is admin, and the password is Polycom 1234. For the 3 and the 4, you need to add your caps. So you do that, and you type that here. You log in. It will prompt you for your first time setup. You say accept. Now you change your old password. Right? You type in here your new password. So I will make it easy for myself. Polycom. We say change. Oh, just made a quick one. Alright, change password. Okay, so now we can log in. And the nice thing is of this portal that it's fully HTML5 based. So you can even open up the Resource Manager on your tablet or any device you have with a browser. It's fully HTML5 compatible. Now, the first thing we need to do is now license this virtual appliance, and so we can use it for the voice clients. How do we do that? So we go here to license, and we need to go and find the system identifier. And the system identifier is this unique key which we need to license on the Flexera portal, where we also downloaded the software. So we copy this system identifier here. Make sure that there's not any space or typos, because this is a one-time thing, so make sure you really copy the right string. Now you go back into your Flexera portal where you receive the username and password. Again, you download the software. You need to create a server. So you create a server here, and here you see the license server ID. So you copy and paste here the license server ID. The backup is not needed. As an ID type, you need to choose the publisher defined. And then as an alias, it's just the naming. So I can call it Amsterdam Lab 5. Amsterdam is the site name. Okay, these are just fields, known fields for yourself. You look back in this portal later on and you can find the naming back. So now we say create. So this is Amsterdam Lab 5, and here we are, we have the server created. But while we have the server created, we still need to add licenses to this specific resource manager. So here you can assign those. So here you go to map add-ons, and this will open up my licenses which are attached to me. We go here below, and here we can add them. So you see the total license available, the total licenses I have, and here you can play with the different settings. So what I do here, you need to assign licenses. So I assign here, for example, 5 licenses to point-to-point. I assign here licenses for my devices, and I need to assign my encrypt license. So here you assign all the different licenses: gravity encryption license, user license, and the license for the system. So any license you have, you might have different licenses if you bought a specific voice. And this one also includes video pieces, but if you have specific voice, you might see other licenses. So now we map them. So I map these licenses now to my license. I map them, and what you will see is now I will make sure that I attach these to mine, and here you are. So now I attached my licenses to this platform, and these are available to use now on my resource manager. There's 2 things you can do now. You can go back into the resource manager and do an online update. That is if your resource manager is connected to the internet. If your resource manager is not connected to the internet, you can also do an offline version of that. That means I can download, as you see here, the capability response file. So let me download that one, and I'll save it. So this file contains that license, and let me put it here. So let me call it Lab 5, and I save it. Okay, so these are now on my PC. Now you go back into that license server. So let me go back into the resource manager here. So here you see the online update. So if you're connected to the internet, you can click update. If you're not connected, you can do offline, and here you can choose that file which we just downloaded, that bin file. So I say choose file, I click on my Lab 5 device, my Lab 5 file, and I say update. Alright, pretty straightforward. I think you import this file, close. Now you should wait a little bit. it will give you a message that the license was uploaded. System is now licensed. Do you want to reload and launch the full application? Yes, please. Okay, it will bring me back into the login. I will log in again to check my license is active now. Okay, we log into the system. We look under license setup, and voila, you see my license is now active for this Resource Manager. So I have now Resource Manager running. Okay, the next important step is I need to assign the right credentials to me as an admin, because by default I'm an admin of the system, but I'm not automatically an admin of the devices, so able to add devices, because that could be another person who's going to manage devices on the system. So to do that, you go to users, you go to the user groups, and here users, you find here me as a user, because there's only one user, this is just installed system. You go to edit, and here you find associated roles. And you see by default I have administrator rights, but this is not the rights on everything. We have a device administrator, we have an auditor, operator. It could all be different persons within the company who's going to look into this tool and only need access to those specific pieces. So I need to add device administrator rights. I add them. I say okay, updated successfully. Now, to get those new licenses, I need to log out, because I need to get those new licenses or those new credentials for the system. So, and by the way, you will see it. So if I go now into, for example, endpoints, I go here into, let me say, monitor view. You see a lot of things and buttons are missing. So if you didn't think about it, or you didn't thought about changing those rights, you will see it, because you will miss everywhere the plus sign to add devices to this system. So that's the whole thing. So keep in mind that you need to add those rights. So what I will do, I will sign out now. I will log out. Save. So what I will do, I will log back in, and this will give me also those device rights. Okay, log into the system now, and now I should be able to see also device license. So if I go, for example, now back into the monitor view, you will see now as a difference of the other time I was logged in, you see now the plus sign. So I have now credentials as a device administrator to work into this system. Alright, so we got Resource Manager running. Whether you're going to use it for voice only or you're going for voice and video, I think this gives you a great start. The whole system is now ready for you to operate and work with it. So from here, I can guide you a bit into how to start, for example, with voice. Voice is a very nice piece within this product, so they enhanced this a lot. So what you can do is you can add devices here. So if you look, for example, at VVXs, or you look at Real Presence Trio, you can add those devices and add them automatically if you want to this system. But also you can add them manually and force system to add them. So how do you add systems into Resource Manager? To do that, there is a specific URL as a provisioning server in the Real Presence Trio and the VVX to add those devices. So you don't see any devices here at the moment. It's completely empty. Now, to add devices, I got here, for example, a Real Presence Trio. You need to add here on the provisioning server, which is on the settings, and then provisioning server, you need to add those specific settings right there. So that's very important. And that is a specific URL. So I have that URL copied and pasted right here. this one is the one you need to remember. So the first piece is the piece of your Resource Manager IP, and then phone servers config files. So in your production environment, you will put this into your DHCP server. So when the VVX or Trio boots up, it will automatically get this as a provisioning server, and you will see it popping up into the Resource Manager. But now, as a test for my lab, I just copy and paste this in here. You say save. Alright. And what will happen now? This device will now be added into the Resource Manager. So let me look into the Resource Manager. And what you will see, it will be here right away. So you can see it is available. The status is online. You got here your status of the registration. So it will grab that. You see here it's automatically added. And so I added it by manually adding it, but it could also, if you put this in the DHCP server, it will pop up here. So on any network where you boot it up and the DHCP server will push this out, you will see it. And the nice thing is if you have, for example, a lot of those trios, you can now have them all into one place, but also your VVXs, for example, you have them all in one place. So what can you do when you have those in here? I think is very powerful. So you can look, for example, at the specific settings of the trio. So you can see here the serial number, the software version, the MAC address, the last time it's been provisioned, but also you can find here out about the provisioning files. So you see here, for example, provisioning files which being pushed out. So by default, as you can see, when you add this or a device to the provisioning server, it will push out these settings you see right here. So the password 789, that's very important. Don't use the default password anymore, 456, because then you're not able to work through the APIs. So it needs to be something else as 456. So it makes it 789 as a password for Resource Manager, but of course recommended to change that. And these are the settings. So also polling at night, so for example software upgrades and also those things, these will all be handled through those default configuration settings. So this will be an automatic thing. Now the nice thing is through those APIs you can remotely, any location, force, for example, a reboot of those devices. So let's say a device got really stuck and a user cannot handle it, you can just force a reboot somehow. You can search for endpoints, so let's say you got a lot of endpoints out there, so you can search for specific names and also associate users. That's, I think, also a very nice feature. You can associate the user with the device, and also in combination with the change phone ID password, you can even force that to make sure that the phone is in sync with AD password. Makes it a lot easier. Now import and export audio phones. So let's say you got an Excel sheet at the end already, or you got a list already, maybe from a previous setup. You can import those devices here. So you can export a list. This is an Excel file, and that format you can always export it, so you have an overview of all your systems out there. And also what is nice is remote call control. So let's say you want to set up a call. So as maybe as a support guy, I wanted to bring a specific trio in contact with a user, or let him call me, so I can talk the user through some specific settings. You have remote call control, so I'm remotely able to dial a specific endpoint with this. So I think this is a very, very powerful tool to use. And of course you can also connect to the system. So let's say you want to just connect to it as a remote device. you can also just use this one and connect to it. So now I'm directly logging in to the Real Presence Trio and do something specifically on this device. So that is also possible. And it saves you a lot of hassle by creating all those favorites and all those things. Further things you have here, and I think this is really powerful, is you can create those configuration files. By default, most of them, or I think all of them, are in here. So you can assign those different policies to different phones. These are all by default in Resource Manager. So there's nothing you need to add. For example, here you want to enable Bluetooth on the Real Presence Trio and push that as maybe as a global policy. It's just for you a matter of you go to the provisioning profiles, and as you see here, you have a global policy. So I can create a global policy. Let me add a global policy, and here you see, for example, policies that are out there. I want to do the Bluetooth enabled. Say yes. So I say apply, and you can apply it now, or you can say okay, and then it will be pushed out when the polling time is there. So let me say okay, and now as a global policy I have, for example, Bluetooth enabled. But you can imagine that you want to maybe remove a sign off button, or you want to change the background, or you have a global policy background or something. That's all possible. You can even create and put the background file, if you have a specific file, put this on Resource Manager. That's specific instructions which are in the manual. So this is a global policy, but you can also have a specific endpoint policy. So here you can add specifically based on associated with the device I just added, and associate the policy with this specific unit. Endpoint models. So let's say you got your VVXs in here and you want to associate a specific policy to a specific model, maybe some common area, the VVX 201 maybe as a common area. Phone, you want to remove maybe a lot of the buttons, and if just as less buttons on the phone as possible. It's all here, so it's very easy. If you got different sites, you can add different sites. By default, you got an internet VPN, which is a global site and any site. But of course, if you have sites based on the subnets, you will see them right here. And of course, also based on endpoints here, you can also add it. I think a very powerful tool. Of course, upload software, also possible. So I'm able to add software here from my repository. So I could say add a software file, go in the downloads, and here you could say, for example, I want to push out a new software version with a description, the latest version. You put it here on the system, you upload it here into the Resource Manager, and I will show you how easy it is. You assign this to, for example, a specific policy. Alright, so it's available in my repository. So now what you can do while the software is here, you can configure a specific configuration here if you want. So let's say I'll add one, and to show you also how easy it is. So this is, for example, a Real Presence Trio upgrade. You go to the configuration attributes, and here on the top you see I have a drop down list, and here you can select the specific upgrade file. So you go to OK. So now I can go here into the provisioning deployment. Let's say I want to make it a global one. I say create one, and here again you can go here to a Real Presence Trio upgrade. I say apply, and here you go. You got a global policy to do an upgrade of your endpoints, which is again by default at the polling time, but otherwise if you click apply, You can also force something. Let's say there is a hotfix you want to push out to a specific unit, or maybe another a quick update you want to do. It's all in here. So I think a very powerful tool. You can also put in your resource files. So let's say you got a loud ring, music on hold, and all those files. That's also possible to put in here. So this was just specifically on voice. And I think what's also good to know is, let's say the device goes offline, or the SIP registration and Sky for Business registration is lost. It will proactively send out an email and anything like that. So of course, when you know the status of the device, it makes it easy to get a message when something goes wrong. So as you see here, system goes down. So let me say here it's offline. So this will automatically send an email to the support desk to see what's going on with the system. Heartbeat timeout. So it's trying to connect to the device all the time. And if after a specific time it can't find the device, it will mention it as offline. And now people can investigate what's going on to repair the situation, to fix the situation. That's it. Just a quick start, step by step. Hopefully this was very useful. If you got questions, let me know. But hopefully this gives you a quick start in the Resource Manager, specifically to voice. But of course, video is also in here, so you can also manage those devices if you have the right licenses, of course.